This New York steak feeds 4 people, costs more than most people's rent, and has been served the exact same way for over 130 years. The restaurant that makes it, they don't take credit cards, they don't take reservations from nobodies. And last year, they told the Michelin Guide to go straight to hell. New York City didn't just adopt the steakhouse, it invented the American steakhouse. While the rest of the country was figuring out how to cook meat, New York was turning it into religion. These aren't just restaurants. They're monuments to a specific kind of American excess. Part history museum, part secret society, part temple where money and meat collide in ways that would make vegetarians weep. If you want to understand the soul of New York luxury, real luxury, not Instagram luxury, these 7 places are your scripture. But here's what the guidebooks won't tell you. Most people who visit New York get steered toward tourist traps that serve reheated meat to people taking selfies. The real New Yorkers, they know something you don't. They know about places where Wall Street legends are still made over handshake deals, where your great-grandfather might have celebrated his first million, where the waiters remember your order from 1987, and if you're not somebody, you're nobody. See, in New York, the best steakhouses aren't just serving dinner, they're guarding secrets. And some of those secrets, well, let's just say they'd surprise you. Because when you're dealing with restaurants that have survived the Great Depression, Prohibition, 9/11, and pandemic lockdowns, you learn that reputation isn't built on Yelp reviews. It's built on something much more dangerous. 4. Charles Prime Rib, West Village. Let's start with the place that breaks every steakhouse rule in the book. 4. Charles doesn't look like much. 24 seats, candles that have been burning since the Carter administration, and a prime rib that's achieved cult status among people who know. They serve one thing, and they've been serving it perfectly since 1981. No menu, no choices, just, how would you like your prime rib? And if you say well done, they ask you to leave. But this is just the opening act. 6. Cote Korean Steakhouse, Flatiron. Now, here's where tradition meets revolution. Cote took the stuffy steakhouse playbook and set it on fire, literally. They put the grills right at your table, hire servers who know the difference between A4 and a 5 Wagyu, and somehow convince Michelin that Korean American beef deserves a star. Their dry-aged tasting menu costs $135 per person. The waiting list is 2 months deep. And here's the kicker. They dry-age their Wagyu for 45 days, longer than most restaurants age regular beef. The result? A $38 per ounce steak that tastes like butter made of meat. But even that's not the most expensive thing we'll see tonight. Team. Wolfgang Steakhouse. Wolfgang Zwiener spent 4 decades as head waiter at Peter Luger. 4 decades watching, learning, memorizing every secret. Then in 2004, he said, "Screw this," and opened his own place. The result? A former employee who out-executed his old boss. Wolfgang's porterhouse looks identical to Luger's, tastes nearly identical, but serves it with actual customer service. The old guard called it betrayal. The customers called it genius. Speaking of betrayal, 4. Smith & Wollensky, Midtown East. This is where Wall Street comes to eat. Not metaphorically, literally. Smith & Wollensky sits right in the shadow of the financial district, serving steaks to people who buy and sell companies between courses. They dry-age their beef for 28 days in a room you can see from the dining room. But here's what most people don't notice. That display holds about $2 million worth of hanging meat at any given time. It's performance art for people who think money has a flavor. Their average dinner check per person, $340. And that's before wine. But if you think that's intimidating. 3. Gallaghers Steakhouse, Theater District. Gallaghers puts their dry-aging room in the front window, on 52nd Street, where tourists and theatergoers can watch prime beef age like fine wine. It's either brilliant marketing or psychological warfare. I'm not sure which. Since 1927, they've been serving steaks to everyone from Babe Ruth to modern hedge fund kings. The beef hangs in that window for weeks, developing a crust that looks like it could stop bullets. But even this isn't the most legendary spot in the city. 2. Keen's Steakhouse, Midtown. Walk into Keen's and look up. Those aren't decorations. Those are 90,000 clay pipes belonging to members dating back to 1885. Teddy Roosevelt's pipe hangs there. So does Babe Ruth's. And somewhere in that collection is probably the pipe of someone who built half of Manhattan. But Keen's isn't famous for their steaks. They're famous for their mutton chop. A 2-pound, 26-ounce monster that looks like it was designed to feed a Viking army. Here's the crazy part. They've sold the exact same mutton chop recipe since 1885. Same supplier, same cut, same preparation. The sheep literally come from the same family farms they used 140 years ago. It's like eating dinner with Lincoln's ghost. And yet, somehow, this isn't even the most legendary steakhouse in New York. 1. Peter Luger, Brooklyn. Peter Luger in Brooklyn. Opened in 1887. Cash only. No substitutions. No special requests. If you want to eat here, you play by their rules. Or you don't eat here at all. Their porterhouse is served on a plate so hot it keeps cooking the steak at your table. The butter pools and bubbles. The waiters treat you like you should be grateful they're allowing you to spend your money here. And here's the thing that'll blow your mind. They don't advertise, they don't have a website, they've never hired a PR firm, and they sell more beef per square foot than any restaurant in America. Word of mouth only for 137 years. Here's the thing nobody talks about. Peter Luger, this temple of New York dining, this 137-year-old institution, they lost their Michelin star. Not just lost it, got absolutely savaged by critics who called their service inept and their sides tragic. You know what happened next? Nothing, absolutely nothing. The reservations didn't slow down. The lines didn't get shorter. The attitude didn't change. Because here's what Michelin doesn't understand about New York. Reputation isn't built on stars. It's built on decades of proving that you don't need anyone's approval to be legendary. Status in New York isn't earned through ratings. It's earned through lines of people willing to wait in the rain for the privilege of being treated poorly while eating the best steak of their lives. Watch this moment. This is why people mortgage their future for one night at these places. This isn't dinner, it's theater. The sizzle when the steak hits the plate is the opening note. The first cut that releases the steam is the rising action. And that first bite, that's when you understand why New York City built monuments to meat. See, in most cities, expensive restaurants try to justify their prices with exotic ingredients or celebrity chefs or Instagram-worthy plating. In New York, the best steakhouses do the opposite. They take one thing, beef, and execute it so perfectly that it becomes art. This is why these places survive recessions, pandemics, changing tastes, and brutal reviews. Because when you're serving more than food, when you're serving history, tradition, and a front row seat to the greatest show on earth, people will always find a way to pay for it. So there they are. 7 temples to American excess, where the steaks cost more than most people's car payments, and the experience costs even more than that. But here's the thing about New York. For every $200 steak, there's a $1 slice that'll change your life just as much. And if you think these steakhouses represent the soul of New York dining, wait until you see the 10 iconic foods that actually built the city. Some cost $1, some cost a fortune, but all of them tell the real story of how New York feeds itself. Hit that next video to see what New Yorkers actually eat when the cameras aren't rolling. 7 temples to American excess, where the steaks are aged 45 days, served with foie gras, and cost more than most people's car payments. Where wine lists come with sommeliers, and sides like creamed spinach run $30. These places don't just serve food, they sell an experience. Luxury, prestige, exclusivity. And make no mistake, people pay for it. But here's the thing about New York. For every $200 steak served under crystal chandeliers, there's a $1.50 slice of pizza handed to you through a fogged-up window at 2 a.m. Greasy, gooey, and absolutely perfect. There's a halal cart on the corner feeding Wall Street traders and taxi drivers alike. A bagel shop that's been slinging schmear for 4 generations. A Dominican bakery where the coffee costs less than a Subway swipe, and the hospitality is priceless. Because the truth is, these steakhouses might reflect how some people eat in New York, but they don't reflect why this city eats the way it does. New York doesn't run on white tablecloths. It runs on corner bodegas, mom-and-pop joints, immigrant kitchens, and late-night diners. It runs on hustle and flavor and food with a story. So, if you really want to taste New York, don't start with dry-aged porterhouse and designer cocktails. Start with the 10 iconic foods that actually built this city. Some of them cost a fortune. Some of them cost $1. But every single one tells you something real about who we are, where we came from, and how we feed 8 million people every single day. This isn't just a list. It's the real menu of New York. Let's dig in.